Hello. We are back in Johto, also with a bit of a background story to tell, mainly how I nicknamed my Pokemon. That directly ties to this Pokemon Adventures manga character, namely Gold. But before that, here on the screen are the usual hardcore Nuzlocke rules. I believe people are mostly familiar with them. I've included these on the video description as well, so you can read it there if you need a reminder. Meet Gold, a cap-wearing lad featured in the Johto section of the Pokemon Adventures manga. He has this nicknaming convention that he uses, one that I coincidentally used when I was younger before reading this manga. This suffix-based nicknaming scheme is a common occurrence from where I come from, and I suppose my country does share a tad bit of history with Japan. When I did read the manga, it gradually just became a nicknaming habit when playing Pokemon games. And I guess I have to address the second most frequently asked question in the comment section. What does Popo mean? Well, I can't really explain that without this video being demonetized. Moving right along. We are supposed to be gold, but we won't be able to become gold entirely. So a combination of Fool and Gold would be Fold. Meet Fold. First set of minutes to the game started off as usual, with our mother giving us all we needed to start the game. This time, we didn't forget to change the settings for a Nuzlocke. God, I forgot how slow the Gen 4 games feel. Gold's team in the manga enables us to pick a Cyndaquil to start with, so we named him Expo, exactly like Gold's Cyndaquil. But God, that's a terrible nature. We restarted the game and got an equally bad Cyndaquil, but we decided to go with this one. This nice guy gentleman proved to be a lot more athletic than we are and decided to give us a nice pair of stinky running shoes. After, we would meet Mr. Pokemon for the first and last time, as well as Professor Oak, who gave us a Pokedex. We would see Professor Oak once more later on in the game. We had the rival battle with the Thief, who later turned out to be Silver. I guess I had to keep the Silver canon. We are definitely not canon though. We would run into Silver again later at the Sprout Tower, where he was borderline abusing some old monk. We were not really one to say anything because we did the exact same thing. Then, the first gym fight. Yeah, this didn't go very well. Not the only time this happened too. There was actually another attempt after this that went up until Whitney, but my recording was set to a different window, so all the footage from this run was just black. Great. Thankfully, I checked my footage before starting another run, so I avoided another lost video episode. Hello, Professor Oak, it's Fold again. I had to restart a couple of times because I had to reroll for a male Cyndaquil, and then we finally settled with this Expo with a flat nature. Hopefully this one will go well. Back at the old Monk Abuse Center, and back to challenging Faulkner for the first gym badge. I mean, this battle came down to RNG, I would say. The first Pidgey is easy enough, but we were limited to only the Cyndaquil to work with, since all the other encounters came right after this gym badge. This battle went pretty smoothly, and we were able to take out the Pidgeotto with a quick attack after spamming Embers. We were coupled with good RNG. We got the egg that would actually turn out to be another team member, and we watched a Kimono Girl spin right round. We hatched the egg after running around Violet City for a good while, and a Togepi popped out of the egg. It was nicknamed Togebo, as per the manga. This fisherman gave us the old rod at Route 32, and we went back to Route 31 to catch ourselves a 5% encounter rate Poliwag. Polibo is his name. The early danger of overleveling was circumvented with the addition of Togebo and Polibo, and we witnessed yet another form of elderly abuse right in front of the Slowpoke well. After witnessing yet another old man injured, the Slowpoke well turned out to be a really good grinding spot for Togebo as it came with extra sensory. The poison-type rocket grunts never stood a chance. Actually they did, since Togebo almost died a couple of times, but we managed just fine. Once that was resolved, we came in a bit underleveled for Bugsy as Exbo shot out a smokescreen at the Scyther. The Scyther would then hit the chunkiest of quick attacks, and we switched to Polibo. The smokescreen actually saved this run, as the Scyther missed their quick attack and Polibo managed to put it to sleep. We switched back to Expo, and the Scyther woke up. I thought this was the end, but the Scyther proceeded to miss all of her quick attacks. The smokescreen clutch was definitely real. Coupled with a burn, the Scyther died quite unpeacefully. The rest of the gym battle was uneventful to say the least. Second gym badge obtained, with much luck. Then it was time for the second silver fight. Togebo was up first, solely because of extra sensory. Despite getting hit by Spite, the Ghastly went down without much trouble. Then, Togebo scored a sweet kiss on the Croconaw, and this adolescent crocodile just could not stop hitting himself. Big victory for Togebo here. The Zubat that came after was a clear finish for Togebo. Absolute MVP. We returned these Farfetch'd to this woodcutter pair and needed a temporary Pokemon to learn Cut. We captured this Rattata and named her Non-Canon. We would then visit this gentleman and had Expo learn Headbutt. This Headbutt would prove very useful, as we went back to Azalea Town and kept hitting this tree until a monkey fell out. It finally did and was indeed captured. He was named Aibo. We had another encounter with the kimono girl where we were ridiculed for being lost in the forest. Not the nicest of the girls, this one. Lyra, introduced us to her grandparents and we got her number. Nice. And of course, it wouldn't be an Indutro video if we didn't visit the game corner right as we entered Goldenrod City. I think we spent a good chunk of time here and grinded for about 30,000 coins and purchased the flamethrower TM for Expo to start with. We then had to run around a lot, reminiscent of our Friendship Evolutions only run. This was all done to prepare Togebo to evolve, to which he finally did. We got ourselves a Togetic. We had to send Whitney back to the gym by completing this quiz, which I definitely didn't mess up 3 times. First try guys, first try. And then, it was time for the third gym fight with Whitney. We led with Expo, and it started off pretty well, with Expo scoring 2 flamethrowers to take down Whitney's Clefairy. Her Miltank, source of all nightmares, proved to be a lot more difficult as she opened with Attract. This caused Expo to see through his beer goggles for 2 turns, and made absolutely horrid life decisions. Being the good wingman that we are, we pulled Expo out and sent in Aibo to deal with the Miltank. Except he also got demolished, so we had to send in Polibo. And he also got demolished, so we had to send in Togebo. Togebo was lucky enough to pull off a sweet kiss, and here was when things started to turn in our favor. We switched back to Polibo as the Miltank hurt herself and managed to put her to sleep. We then switched back to Expo, who pulled a miracle out of his spiky bum and scored a flamethrower crit. What an absolute Chad. I didn't even mind that Winnie threw a tantrum. I would too if I were her. That was definitely some grade A Wagyu level bullshittery. Not far off from Goldenrod, we had an amazingly tough time catching the Sudowoodo, but we were fortunate enough to not lose any team members. We caught the fake tree and named it Sudobo. We then went back to the national park and caught a Sunkern, Sunbow. Before challenging the next gym, we headed over to the Burnt Tower and had another rival battle with Silver. Like the previous battle, Togebo took care of the Ghastly with extra sensory, but was caught with a curse. We switched out Togebo for Expo, who dealt with the Magnemite quite easily. Aibo then blinded the Croconaw for a bit, then proceeded to scratch the living hell out of the Croc, before having Expo finish it with a couple of more attacks. The remaining Zubat was easy enough, as it was ended with a flamethrower. We managed to baffle Eugene with our astounding beast-taming skills, as he claimed no one was able to get as close as we did with Suicune. In preparation for Morty, Polibo achieved its appropriate level for evolving and turned into a Poliwhirl, or as we like to call it, a slightly bigger tadpole with arms. Then, it was time for the 4th badge. With Togebo on our team, you can expect this battle to go pretty smoothly. The only hindrance was actually the first Haunter, where he successfully put Togebo to sleep, so we had to switch to Expo to finish it with a flamethrower. As for the rest, Togebo came back out, and Morty's Ghost-type Pokemon pretty much had no answers. 4th badge obtained, and onwards we go. We saved the Kimono girl from a Team Rocket trademark harassment and was given the Surf HM. Once we arrived in Olivine City, we climbed the iconic lighthouse and found that the Ampharos on duty had short-circuited, meaning we had to go to Cianwood to fix it. Great, just what we needed. More errands to actually be able to fight gym leaders. During the surf trip to Cianwood City though, we encountered a Mantine, another one of Gold's team members, and caught it. It was named T-Bow. In the manga, Gold also has 20 Remoraid's, but I'll skip those since I was pretty sure they weren't going to be included in the team. So, Chuck, the 5th gym fight. His Primate was easy enough with Togebo's extra sensory, and I wasn't really sure what was going through my mind here as we faced the Poliwrath. But I think I was 100% sure that this Surf hit wasn't going to kill Togebo if it wasn't a crit. And we were proven right, as Togebo survived on 8 HP and finished off the Poliwrath. It's okay, no need to leave comments about playing around crits. I take these risks fully knowing I might lose the Pokemon. It's the adrenaline. We got the Fly HM from this random lady just outside the gym and proceeded to EV train and grind for items after that in the most painful way possible. The Pokeathlon Dome. God, this was horrible. I was under the impression that we could get a shiny stone from the Pokeathlon Dome, and fun fact, you cannot get one before the National Pokedex, so I spent just about 2 hours in real time playing these god-awful benign games. You can only imagine my horror once I realized that we cannot obtain the shiny stone at this point in the game. We met this hiker and obtained the Strength HM and went back to the Slowpoke Well to get ourselves a King's Rock. With said King's Rock and the trait evolutions enabled, Polibo was able to evolve into a Politoed. And upon learning Double Hit, Aibo was able to evolve as well, turning into a bigger monkey with an extra tail. There was this optional Eugene battle, but it wasn't really worth noting. Expo clean house with flamethrowers. We headed up the lighthouse to meet Jasmine, only to find that we forgot to fetch the medicine over at Cianwood's pharmacy. we had to fly back to Cianwood, get the medicine, and fly back. We finally fixed the Ampharos and challenged Jasmine to a gym battle, kind of shuffling the gym order a bit, but it was all fine. Expo didn't really have much trouble. It was really good getting that flamethrower TM early on in the game. Moving on with the story. We ended this red Gyarados' life and met Lance, where we witnessed him ending a human being with his Dragonite's Hyper Beam. Ruthless. Then we had to spend a long time just going about this rocket hideout, which had a stupidly low level curve. We were able to best 2 rocket admins in this place and cleared out the local electrode population to stop the antenna from working. With this rocket case solved, we moved on to better things in life, challenging Price to a Pokémon battle. Well, I said better things in life because Polibo had a good time battling in this ice gym by spamming Focus Blasts. For 5,500 Poké-Dollars, that TM was surely a steal, a cheap price to pay for Price. See what I did there? In any case, we now have 7 badges. Then, another Team Rocket crisis. God, it never ends. We got the Team Rocket disguise from the underground passage, and got it immediately blown by this buffoon. So this part of the game is just one huge leveling up and grinding section, and Expo managed to evolve into a Thyplosion here. Togebo would then sweep Rocket Admin Patrol with extra sensory. Before we could cover the second part of the Goldenrod Rocket experience, Aibo was an absolute hero and actually used his pickup ability to pick up a Sunstone. This saved us a trip to the bug catching contest or the Pokeathlon Dome, seeing as we still haven't used the points we got. But we used the stone and evolved Sunbo into a Sunflora. We also grinded for levels for a while. And then it was silver time. I went into this fight a bit blind, so the Golbat caught me off guard. The Skullbat did a very good job flinching and confusing Togebo, so we could only pull off 1 extra sensory before having to pull out Togebo. I wanted to switch to Sudabo for the Golbat, but we sort of switched out at the same time, with Silver switching out to his Sneasel. No matter, we switched again to Expo and exterminated the Sneasel with a flamethrower. The Feraligatr was next, so we switched to the newly evolved Sunbo, which one-shotted the Croc with the Petal Dance. What I forgot was that using Petal Dance locked Sunbo into the attack, and Silver sent out his Golbat next, and this was almost Fubar. But Sunbo proved to be a champ as she tanked an Air Cutter attack and survived, so we safely switched out Sunbo for Sudabo. A Rock Throw ended the Golbat, and Polibo took care of the subsequent Haunter and Magnemite with Surfs. This almost went so badly. We saved the Director in the basement and went back up the radio tower for round 2. And we're back with the risky plays. Against Ariana, Togebo took care of the Arbok with 2 extra sensories, and for some reason I decided to test my luck again against the Murkrow as I unnecessarily went for another hit with Ancient Power. Togebo survived and took down the Murkrow. For the Vileplume, it was an easy switch to Expo. I forgot to switch to Polibo for Archer and mistakenly started out the fight with Expo. But we weren't in any real danger in this fight, with a safe switch to Polibo resulting in the end of Archer's Houndour and Houndoom, and Sudabo ending the measly coughing at the end. The radio director memed us for a bit, and we moved on to the Ice Path to progress with the game. Right, time for the dreaded Claire fight. I open with Togebo against Claire's Gyarados, and open with a Sweet Kiss as the Gyarados hits a Dragon Rage. I was planning to switch out Togebo much earlier, but since the Gyarados was hitting itself, I took the chance to score Ancient Powers, which came so close to taking it down. We finally had to switch out to Aibo, who tanked a Dragon Rage while dishing out double hits. Polibo came out for the Dragonair, and had an easy time with Ice Beams. Polibo was also holding a Never Melt Ice, so that really helped. When it was time for the Kingdra, I had this amazing plan in my head that involved switching out to Expo and baiting out the Kingdra's Hydro Pump to heal Polibo with this ability. I tried that, but the one time I want the enemy to hit, they just had to miss. Polibo managed to pull off a Focus Blast and Ice Beam, but he got way too close for Polibo. I attempted the really risky switch to Expo again and switched back to Polibo, this time successfully baiting out the Hydro Pump to heal Polibo. He came so close to killing the Kingdra. Clear healed the Kingdra, and Polibo was only able to shoot out one more Focus Blast due to the smokescreen. When Polibo almost died, we switched to Sunbo, who I figured I would sack while trying to damage the Kingdra as much as possible. She fought valiantly and gave a fresh turn to Aibo, which ended the fight with double hits. That was an emotional roller coaster. To make things worse, Claire just had to be salty about the loss and sent us to the Dragon's Den. Thankfully, this episode was untelevised. We got the final badge and placed Sunbo in the Heaven Box. She wasn't with us for very long, but she did a great job. We went back to New Bark Town and was informed that the Kimono Girls were looking for us in the Ecrotake Dance Theater. We took the bait and was challenged to a series of Pokemon battles. I think starting off with Sudabo was a mistake, as he took too much damage taking out the Umbreon. This meant that for every other battle, we had to switch out our Pokemon in the first turn. And this godforsaken Espeon pretty much just damaged my whole team before being able to take it out with Togebo. Tibo was able to take out the Flareon, and Aibo really almost kicked the bucket with his Jolteon. God, this was horrifying. Finally, Polibo just spammed Focus Blast to take out the Vaporeon. I really don't know how I came out of this not losing any of our team members. This was actually a huge win. There was the Ho-Oh, but it got decimated with a Rock Slide. So much for a legendary bird. The path to Victory Road was always hard, but thankfully there wasn't much to tell. It was a good leveling path. Final rival fight time, and he led with a Sneasel. We sent out Expo first, which ended it pretty quickly with a flamethrower. Then came the scary Feraligatr, and I switched to Aibo, tanking a waterfall. Fully aware of the critical chance, I kept Aibo on and chanced on a double hit, and oh man, things could be going a lot better. I miss Sunbow. I switched to Polibo, who ended up using one Focus Blast and a Surf. Expo came back out for Silver's Magneton, Haunter, and Kadabra, and Sudowoodo ended Silver's last Pokemon, his Golbat. So far, this run is probably up there as one of my messiest runs, but we were still going strong, I think. Team announcement time. First, we have Expo the Typhlosion, Aibo the Ambipom, Polibo the Politoed, Togebo the Togetic, Sudowoodo the Sudowoodo, and Tibo the Mantine. It was time to face the Elite Four, and the first one up was this really forgettable Psychic-type trainer, Will. Equipped with maximum friendship and a Silk Scarf, Aibo managed to take down the first Xatu and Jinx with returns. Aibo would then finish the Exeggutor with 2 Shadow Claws. The Slowbro was a bit too tanky for the Shadow Claw, so we switched to Togebo, finishing it with a Shadow Ball instead. Due to the last Xatu pulling off some clutch Confuse Rays, Aibo had to be switched back in after Togebo and Sudowoodo were too inept to finish the battle. First one down, and not too much trouble. Time for Koga, the second Elite Four. We led with Expo, and the Ariados and Fortress posed no threat at all and was quickly dealt with using flamethrowers. Togebo was then switched out, and took down the Muck with 2 extra sensories despite getting poisoned with Toxic. Then, the Crobat. I had hoped for an easier time with this, but the stupid Crobat managed to stack full double teams, making it almost impossible for Sudowoodo to hit it. We came so close, but Koga ended up healing the Crobat. This was really painful. Polibo tried his luck, Expo tried his luck, but ultimately Aibo was the one who took down the Crobat. A final return from Aibo easily took care of the Venomoth as well. You know, Koga could have easily wiped out our team here. But no point looking back, we move on to Bruno, the fighting type specialist. I originally wanted to use Togebo for this battle, but the Hitmonchan with the Thunder Punch kind of scared me. So, I equipped Polibo with the Mystic Water, set up a Rain Dance in the first turn, and this honestly went a lot better than I thought. Bruno's Machamp was the only one that posed a real threat, and somehow this Onix Sturdy didn't kick in. I'm not sure what was going on here, I'm pretty sure this Onix has Sturdy. But we took the win, and it was time to face the final Elite Four, Karen. I equipped Polibo with a Choice Scarf here, and sent him first against Karen's Umbreon. The Focus Blast thankfully didn't miss, and was able to one-shot the Evolution. Polibo was locked on to only Focus Blast, so we switched out for Expo, who got paralyzed on the switch-in. It took 2 turns, but we downed a Vileplume with a Flamethrower. I tried fighting this Gengar with Togebo, but only managed to use 1 extra sensory. I took a chance with Tibo here, and Tibo really impressed with his critical hit Surf that took down the Gengar. I decided to keep going, and Tibo hit another critical hit that one-shotted the Murkrow. Tibo couldn't finish the Houndoom in 1 hit, and we switched to Polibo to close the battle. This Mantine was surprisingly good, but it might have just been the RNG. And we made it to Lance, miraculously without any casualties. Lance expressed his enthusiasm for the battle and sent out his Gyarados. We led with Togebo, who tanked a nice chunky Ice Fang to begin the battle. The returning Ancient Power dealt a bit less in damage, and we switched to Aibo. With absolutely full power, Aibo took down the Gyarados with a return, all according to plan. With a heavy heart, I decided to just sack Aibo here and deal as much damage as possible, and Aibo honestly did pretty well. It was sad that he had to go here, but what a hero Aibo was. Rest in peace. Polibo came out next and shot at an Ice Beam that was stacked with an Evermelt Ice, taking down the Dragonite. The next Dragonite paralyzed Polibo, but we were still able to shoot out an Ice Beam that downed the Dragonite. The next Dragonite came along and used Dragon Rush, and Polibo survived with 50 HP. Polibo fought through the paralysis and took down yet another Dragonite. Then, the Aerodactyl. I decided to sack Polibo here and go for a Surf, but Polibo took the crunch like a true champ and survived with 4 HP. The returning Surf then took down the Aerodactyl. What a true hero. Because of this, I wanted to save Polibo from certain death and switched to Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo tanked 2 attacks and downed Lance's Charizard with 1 Rock Slide. And this was it. We bested Lance in a fairly straightforward battle and became the Johto champion. This was actually a really fun Nuzlocke. though it did come with its difficulties. The early game, and with that I mean the first 3 gyms or so, was quite challenging, and some battles after the ice gym was definitely not a walk in the park. But we have come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this non-canon gold's journey, and I'll see you in another video. Take care.